Three major snowstorms are bearing down on the eastern United States right now. If you're watching from Virginia, the Carolinas, or anywhere in the Midwest, the next 7 days will change everything you thought you knew about this winter. Here's what's happening at this very moment. 10 inches of snow is already falling in parts of West Virginia. That's right, 10 inches and counting. But that's just the beginning. The real story? We're tracking not one, not two, but 5 separate weather systems that will slam into the eastern seaboard over the next week. And here's the number that should wake you up. Temperatures in the Midwest have plunged to 5 degrees below zero. That's -5. In Minnesota and Wisconsin, people are waking up to -15-degree wind chills. This Arctic air mass is now racing south and east, and it's bringing friends. At exactly 3 minutes and 20 seconds into this forecast, I'm going to reveal which cities are about to get hit with their biggest snowfall of the season, cities that weren't even on the radar yesterday. But first, you need to understand what's creating this perfect storm scenario. Right now, there's a massive trough sitting over the eastern United States. Think of it as a highway in the sky, and it's funneling storm after storm directly into the mid-Atlantic region. We're seeing something meteorologists call an Alberta Clipper train. These are fast-moving systems that originate in Canada, and they're lining up like planes on a runway. The current storm that's pounding Virginia, it's dropping 3 to 6 inches across the entire state. Richmond is getting hammered, Roanoke is buried, and here's the twist nobody saw coming. The coastal areas, places like Virginia Beach and Norfolk, they're about to get more snow than the forecast models predicted just 6 hours ago. Why? Because we have 2 pieces of energy phasing together. The coastal low-pressure system is merging with cold air from the northwest. And when that happens, you get what we call bombogenesis, rapid intensification. The kind of snow that shuts down highways and cancels flights. Let me give you the timeline because this matters for your safety. At 11 a.m. today, if you're south of Interstate 40, you're seeing rain, maybe some sleet mixed in. But north of I-40, pure snow. Boone, North Carolina, is getting pounded. Winston-Salem is transitioning to all snow. Greensboro will see at least a quick burst, possibly 2 to 3 inches by evening. Here's your first reward point. If you're in Raleigh, North Carolina, pay close attention. By 3 p.m. this afternoon, that rain you're seeing right now will flip to heavy, wet snow. The kind that sticks immediately. The kind that makes roads impassable in under an hour. We're talking potential accumulations of 2 to 4 inches in the Raleigh metro, with higher amounts to the east and north. And Virginia Beach? This is where it gets interesting. The National Weather Service is calling for maybe 1/10 to 2/10 of an inch. I'm telling you right now, watch this area closely. The phasing I mentioned, that energy transfer, it's going to push totals significantly higher. We could see 2 to 3 inches easy, possibly more toward Norfolk. By 7 p.m. tonight, the snow will still be falling across northeastern North Carolina and southeastern Virginia. This is an area I'd watch for sneaky high totals. The kind of totals that make tomorrow morning's commute absolutely treacherous. But here's the question you really want answered. When does this end? Not anytime soon. Because after this storm clears out around 3 to 5 a.m. tomorrow, we have less than 48 hours before the next system arrives. And it's bringing even colder air. Wednesday evening, here comes Alberta Clipper number 2. This one takes a slightly different track. It's going to dive through the Midwest, hammer the Great Lakes with lake-effect snow, then push into the interior northeast. We're talking Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, all getting hit with 1 to 3 inches of quick-moving snow. Now here's where your emergency planning needs to kick in. Thursday and Friday, the third system arrives. And this one, folks, this one has the potential to be the biggest of the week. Why? Because it's tapping into that Arctic air mass I mentioned at the beginning. Let me paint you the picture. Morning lows on Sunday, just 5 days from now, Fargo, North Dakota, will wake up to -10 to -15 degrees. That's before wind chill. Minneapolis, -5 to -10. And that cold air? It's going to surge all the way down to the Ohio Valley. Chicago, you're looking at highs only in the teens. Cleveland, maybe 20 degrees if you're lucky. Pittsburgh, low 20s. And all of that brutally cold air is going to be in place when our Thursday-Friday storm system moves through. This is the system that could bring snow to Washington, D.C., Baltimore, maybe even Philadelphia. Right now, the probability sits at about 20 to 30% for significant snow along the I-95 corridor. Not great odds, but they're increasing. And here's why that matters. When you get this much cold air in place, these clipper systems can transfer their energy to coastal lows. If that happens, if we get that phase right, places like DC could see 4 to 6 inches. Baltimore could get buried with 6 to 8. The question is timing. Will the coastal energy be in the right place at the right time? The European model ensemble, that's basically 51 different computer simulations averaged together, it's showing a massive band of snow from North Dakota all the way through Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, and Ohio. Some of these ensemble members are trying to bring significant snow all the way to the I-95 corridor. But here's the problem, and this is critical for you to understand. We don't have blocking. Let me explain what that means. Up near Greenland, when we get a strong high-pressure system that parks itself and doesn't move, it blocks the flow of energy across the Atlantic. It forces storms to slow down, to intensify, to bring more moisture. Right now, we don't have that blocking pattern. The NAO, the North Atlantic Oscillation, it's not negative enough. What does that mean in plain English? It means these storms are moving through fast. They're transient. They grab moisture from the Great Lakes, but they can only carry it so far east before they run out of gas. That's why we're seeing so many clippers and not big coastal storms. The energy just keeps racing through instead of bottling up and intensifying. But, and this is important, some of the ensemble members are showing that coastal transfer. Some of them are bringing Atlantic moisture into the mix. So what's the bottom line for your weekend? High confidence for significant snow across the Midwest and Great Lakes. Moderate confidence for snow in the interior, Mid-Atlantic, places like West Virginia and Western Virginia. Lower confidence, but not zero, for snow along the coast from Washington to Boston. And the cold? That's a guarantee. 10 to 25 degrees below average for most of the eastern United States. The worst of it, the most brutal cold, that's going to be centered on the Midwest, the Great Lakes, and the Northeast. Now, remember I promised you something at the 5-minute mark? Here it is, the cities that are going to get hit harder than expected. First, Raleigh and the entire Research Triangle. The models are underselling this. Plan for 3 to 5 inches from this current storm, not the dusting they're forecasting. Second, the Greenville, North Carolina to Virginia Beach corridor. This coastal area is going to overperform. Why? That phasing. When the upper-level energy merges with the coastal low, you get a burst of heavy snow rates. 2 to 3 inches per hour is possible this afternoon and evening. Third, and this might surprise you, Louisville, Kentucky. That Thursday-Friday system is going to park a band of snow right over the Louisville metro, could see 3 to 4 inches easily. Fourth, the entire I-70 corridor from Indianapolis to Columbus to Pittsburgh. That same Thursday-Friday storm is going to dump snow all along this route. 4 to 6 inches is very possible, maybe more in the higher elevations of West Virginia and Western Pennsylvania. And fifth, here's the dark horse. If that coastal transfer happens this weekend, the entire Delmarva Peninsula could wake up Saturday or Sunday to a surprise 6 to 8 inches. The odds aren't great, maybe 25%, but when these surprise coastal storms hit, they hit hard. Let's talk about what you need to do right now. If you're in Virginia or North Carolina this afternoon and tonight, stay off the roads if possible. The snow is going to be heavy and wet, the kind that brings down tree branches and power lines. Make sure you have flashlights, batteries, and a way to stay warm if the power goes out. For the Midwest and Great Lakes, Wednesday through next weekend is going to be a marathon, not a sprint. You're going to see storm after storm after storm. Stock up now. Get your groceries today. Make sure your car has a winter emergency kit. Blankets, water, snacks, a phone charger. And everyone east of the Mississippi, be ready for that Arctic blast. We're talking dangerous cold, the kind of cold where exposed skin can get frostbite in under 10 minutes. If you have elderly neighbors, check on them. If you have pets, bring them inside. Now, here's the part you absolutely cannot miss. Coming up, I'm going to show you the exact probability maps for each storm system. Town by town, county by county, what are your actual chances of seeing measurable snow? And more importantly, I'm going to reveal the one factor that could change everything. The one pattern shift that could turn this active week into an absolutely historic week. But first, let's talk about what's happening with lake effect snow. Because while these clipper systems are racing through, the Great Lakes are setting up for potentially significant lake effect events. Why? The water temperature in Lake Erie is still in the low 40s. Lake Ontario, mid-40s. That's warm enough to generate serious lake effect when that Arctic air comes screaming across. Buffalo, you know this drill. You're looking at potential for multiple feet of snow in the southern tier over the next 7 days. Not from the clippers, but from pure lake effect. The wind direction, it's going to be perfect for dumping snow from Hamburg down to Orchard Park. Cleveland's east side, you're in the bullseye too. That northwest flow is going to set up a persistent lake effect band. Could see 18 to 24 inches in spots by the end of next weekend. And here's something most forecasts aren't talking about: the mountains of North Carolina and Tennessee. With this persistent northwest flow, you're going to see upslope snow enhancement. Places like Boone, Banner, Elk, even Asheville could pick up significant accumulations from multiple events. We're talking potential for 12 to 18 inches total over the next 7 days. So let's get into those probability maps. This is a 24-hour probability of seeing at least 1 inch of snowfall. Today, right now, Virginia and West Virginia, you're at 70 to 90%. That's about as high as it gets. North of I-40 in North Carolina, you're at 50 to 70%. Wednesday into Thursday, that next clipper. The Midwest is at 60 to 80% from North Dakota down through Iowa and Illinois. The Great Lakes, 70 to 90% when you factor in lake effect. Interior Northeast, 40 to 60%. Thursday into Friday, this is the bigger system. The Midwest again, 70 to 80%. Ohio Valley, 60 to 70%. And here's where it gets interesting. Western Virginia and West Virginia, 50 to 60%. The I-95 corridor from D.C. to Philly. This is where the uncertainty lives. Right now, 20 to 30%. But if that coastal transfer happens, those numbers could jump to 60 or 70% in a hurry. And this is why you need to keep watching. This is why you can't just check the forecast once and forget about it. These patterns, they evolve. What looks like a miss today could be a direct hit tomorrow. Here's the factor I promised you, the one thing that could change everything. We're watching for a potential pattern shift around December 15th, 16th, 17th. About a week to 10 days from now. Some of the long-range models are hinting at a strong negative NAO finally setting up. If that happens, if we get that blocking pattern to develop, everything changes. Suddenly, those clipper systems have something to phase with. Suddenly, we have the ingredients for major coastal storms. The kind that bring 12 to 18 inches from Washington to Boston. Is it guaranteed? Absolutely not. Long-range forecasting is more art than science beyond 7 days. But the signals are there, the potential is there. And that's why next week, early next week, is going to be critical for monitoring. Let me give you another number. The average snowfall for December in Chicago is 11.2 inches. With what we're tracking over the next 7 to 10 days, Chicago could hit that average by next weekend. 1 week, that's how active this pattern is. Detroit, average December snowfall is 13.3 inches. You could see 8 to 12 inches from multiple events over the next week. Buffalo, your average is 24.1 inches for December. You might hit that in the next 7 days from lake effect alone. And for the mid-Atlantic, places that don't always see significant December snow, this could be your month. If that pattern shift materializes, if we get that blocking, late December could bring the kind of snowstorm people talk about for years. Now, let's address the elephant in the room. Why isn't this all over the national news? Why aren't we seeing wall-to-wall coverage? Because it's not one big storm. It's a series of smaller to moderate events. The media loves the big ones, the named storms, the ones that shut down major cities for days. But here's what they're missing. The cumulative impact of 5 or 6 moderate events can be just as significant as one major event. Maybe more so, because you don't get a break. You don't get a chance to recover between storms. Your snow removal crews get exhausted, salt supplies run low. People let their guards down because it's just a clipper and then boom, 3 inches falls in 2 hours, and the evening commute is chaos. This is the kind of pattern that catches people off guard, and that's exactly why you need to stay informed, stay prepared, and stay flexible with your plans over the next 7 to 10 days. Let's talk about travel impacts, because I know many of you are starting to think about holiday travel. If you're flying, this week is going to be challenging. Not necessarily because of massive cancellations, but because of delays. These clipper systems, they move through fast, but they cause just enough snow to slow down operations. O'Hare Airport in Chicago, you're going to see delays Wednesday, Thursday, possibly Friday. Detroit Metro, same story. Cleveland Hopkins, count on it. Even airports that don't get much snow, if you're connecting through these hubs, your flight could be affected. If you're driving, and you're planning a trip across the Midwest, or through the Great Lakes, or into the Northeast, this is not the week. If you can delay until next week, do it. If you can't, build in extra time. Lots of extra time. What normally takes 6 hours could take 10. And make sure your vehicle is ready. Tires, battery, washer fluid, all of it. Because getting stranded in this cold, with these snow events, that's not a situation you want to be in. Here's something else most people don't think about. The cold is going to be more dangerous than the snow in many cases. When temperatures drop below zero, things break. Water pipes freeze and burst. Car batteries die. Even modern vehicles struggle to start in extreme cold. If you live in the Midwest or Northern Tier, now is the time to winterize. Disconnect and drain outdoor hoses. Know where your main water shutoff is. Let faucets drip if temperatures in your home could drop below freezing. Keep cabinet doors open under sinks to allow warm air to circulate around pipes. And if you have a fireplace or wood stove, make sure your wood supply is ready and your chimney is clean. When the power goes out in this cold, and it might with snow and ice on power lines, you need a backup heat source. For those of you in the Mid-Atlantic and Southeast who aren't used to this kind of cold and snow, here's your crash course. Black ice forms when temperatures are around freezing and you have any kind of precipitation. You can't see it. It looks just like wet pavement. But when you hit it, you have zero control. So when they say the roads are icy, believe them. Slow down, increase your following distance, and if you start to slide, don't slam on the brakes. Ease off the gas, steer in the direction you want to go, and gently apply brakes if you have anti-lock brakes. And one more thing about the cold. Your phone battery drains much faster in extreme cold. If you're outside, keep your phone close to your body to keep it warm, and make sure you have a car charger, because if you get stuck somewhere, that phone is your lifeline. Alright, let's get to the extended outlook, because I know you want to know what happens after this active week. The good news? We're probably going to catch a brief break next week. Not a full-blown warm-up, but the snow train should calm down for a few days. The pattern is going to relax a bit. We'll see temperatures moderate, maybe get back to normal, or even slightly above normal for many areas. That doesn't mean the winter is over. Far from it. It just means the parade of clipper systems will take a pause. But remember that potential pattern shift I mentioned? If that negative NAO develops, if we get that blocking pattern in place, mid to late December could get very interesting. And by interesting, I mean active. Potentially very active. The long-range models, and again, take these with a grain of salt. They're hinting at a strong storm potential around December 19th through 22nd, right before Christmas. Is it going to happen? Too early to say. But it's something to watch. And that brings up the question everyone's thinking. What about Christmas? White Christmas chances? It's too early for specifics, but I can tell you this, the overall pattern is cold. Not Arctic cold like this weekend, but colder than average. And in a cold pattern, it doesn't take much to generate snow. So if you're dreaming of a white Christmas, this year might be your best chance in several years, especially if you're in the Midwest, Great Lakes, or Northeast, Mid-Atlantic and Southeast. Your chances are lower but not zero. Let me give you some historical context. The last time we had a pattern this active, this early in December, was back in 2013, going into 2014. That winter ended up being one of the coldest and snowiest on record for much of the eastern United States. Now, that doesn't mean this winter will be identical. Every pattern is unique, but the similarities are there. The active northern stream, the frequent clipper systems, the Arctic air masses, it's all reminiscent of that winter. And here's a stat that should get your attention. In winters, when we see this much December activity, 73% of the time, January and February are also very active. Again, not a guarantee, but the odds favor a winter that continues to deliver. So what's the takeaway from all of this? What do you really need to know? Number 1, the next 7 days are going to be active and cold. Multiple snow events, some significant, are on the way. Number 2, travel is going to be impacted. Plan accordingly. Number 3, the cold is potentially dangerous. Take it seriously. Number 4, we have a potential pattern shift coming that could make late December very interesting. And number 5, this winter is showing signs of being more active than the last few winters we've experienced. Now, here's what I need you to do. First, make sure you're prepared. We've talked about what that means: food, water, heat, emergency supplies. Winterize your home and vehicle. Second, stay informed. Weather patterns like this evolve quickly. What we know today might change tomorrow. Third, have a plan. If you lose power, where will you go? If the roads become impassable, can you work from home? If your pipes freeze, do you know what to do? Think through these scenarios now, not when they're happening. And fourth, check on others. Your elderly neighbors, family members who live alone, people who might not be as prepared as you are. Community matters in situations like this. Before we wrap up, let me hit you with a few more numbers because in emergency weather situations, details matter. The snow-to-liquid ratio for the current storm in Virginia, it's running about 12-1. That means for every inch of liquid precipitation, you're getting about 12 inches of snow. That's a fairly fluffy snow, the kind that's easy to shovel but also easily blown around by wind. The Thursday-Friday system, that's going to be different. With the colder air in place, we could see ratios of 15-1 or even higher. That means less liquid precipitation produces more snow accumulation. So even if the storm doesn't look that impressive on moisture totals, the snow accumulation could be significant. Wind chills this weekend. Let's talk real numbers. Minneapolis, wind chills could drop to -25 to -30. That's dangerous. Frostbite in 10 minutes or less. Chicago, -15 to -20. Cleveland, -10 to -15. Even places like Pittsburgh and Buffalo could see wind chills around 0 to -5. And here's a number that affects everyone. Home heating costs. Natural gas prices are up 14% from this time last year. With temperatures this cold for an extended period, your heating bills are going to reflect it. Set your thermostat wisely. 68 degrees during the day, 65 at night is a good balance between comfort and cost. One more critical piece of information: snow removal and ice melt products. Hardware stores are already reporting increased sales. If you haven't stocked up on ice melt, do it now. Not tomorrow. Not when the next storm is 12 hours away. Now. Because by Wednesday afternoon, shelves could be empty. Same goes for batteries, flashlights, portable phone chargers, even candles. These aren't luxury items in a pattern like this. They're necessities. All right, we're coming up on the most important part of this forecast. The part you absolutely cannot miss. Because while we've talked about all these storm systems, while we've discussed the cold and the impacts, there's one scenario we haven't fully explored. The worst-case scenario. What if that Thursday-Friday system transfers all its energy to the coast? What if we get that perfect phase? What if the blocking pattern sets up earlier than expected? What does that look like? In that scenario, and I want to be clear, this is not the most likely outcome right now, but it's possible, we could see a major coastal storm by this weekend. The kind that brings 18 to 24 inches from Washington, D.C. to New York City. The kind that shuts down I-95 for days. The ingredients would all be there. The Arctic air mass in place, check. The coastal low forming off the Carolina coast, check. The blocking pattern to slow it down, that's the question mark. But some of the model runs are showing it. Not the majority, but enough that we can't ignore it. If that scenario unfolds, and we'll know more by Wednesday, Thursday, at the latest, this goes from an active weather week to a potentially historic weather event. The kind meteorologists talk about for years. The kind that makes the news internationally. And here's why I'm telling you this now. Because if it does develop, you won't have much time to prepare. These coastal storms can intensify rapidly. What looks like a moderate event on Wednesday morning could be a major blizzard by Thursday evening. So, here's your action plan for the rest of today and tomorrow. 1. Watch this space. Follow reliable weather sources. Not social media rumors. Not clickbait headlines. But actual meteorologists who understand what they're looking at. 2. Finalize your preparations. By tomorrow evening, you should be ready for a week of winter weather. 3. Communicate with family and friends. Make sure everyone knows the forecast, knows the potential, and knows how to reach you if something happens. 4. If you have any medical needs, prescriptions that need filling, appointments that might be difficult to get to next week, take care of them now. And 5. Mentally prepare yourself. I know that sounds odd, but winter weather events can be stressful. You might lose power, you might be stuck at home for days, you might have to alter your plans. That's all okay. It's part of living in a place where winter actually happens. Now, let me circle back to something I mentioned earlier about the long-range pattern, because this is important for planning beyond just next week. The Climate Prediction Center, that's the official government agency that does extended forecasts, they're calling for below-average temperatures and above-average precipitation for much of the eastern United States through the end of December. What does that mean? It means this pattern isn't a one-week wonder, it's a sustained pattern shift. We've gone from a fairly quiet start to winter to an active pattern, and that pattern has staying power. For those of you who love winter weather, who enjoy snow, this is your time. The next 3 to 4 weeks could deliver. For those of you who dread winter, who count down the days until spring, buckle up. It's going to be a ride. And for everyone else, somewhere in between, the key is preparation and attitude. You can't control the weather. You can only control how you respond to it. Here's something else to consider. Snow removal. If you're in an area that's going to see multiple events, you need to stay on top of it. Don't let 6 inches sit on your driveway for 2 days and then try to remove it after another 4 inches falls on top. By then, it's packed down, it's heavy, it's a nightmare. Clear snow as it falls or shortly after. Yes, you might have to shovel multiple times. But trust me, 3 sessions of shoveling 4 inches is infinitely easier than 1 session of shoveling 12 inches of packed snow. And if you hire someone to plow or snow blow your driveway, make sure they're lined up now. Good snow removal services book up fast when patterns like this develop. Don't wait until you have 8 inches on the ground to start making calls. For those of you with long driveways or large properties, consider the investment in a snowblower if you don't already have one. They're not cheap, but in an active winter, they pay for themselves in saved time and reduced back strain. Let's talk about power outages because in winter weather, especially with snow and ice, they're a real possibility. Wet, heavy snow sticks to power lines and tree branches. When the weight gets too much, something breaks. Ice is even worse. A 1/4 inch of ice can double the weight on a power line. So what do you do if the power goes out? First, stay calm. If you've prepared, you'll be fine. Second, turn off or unplug major appliances. When power comes back, you don't want everything surging on at once. Third, open your refrigerator and freezer only when absolutely necessary. They'll stay cold longer if you keep the doors closed. Fourth, never use a generator indoors. I repeat, never. Carbon monoxide poisoning is real, and it's deadly. Generators go outside, at least 20 feet from windows and doors. Fifth, if it's really cold and you don't have a backup heat source, close off rooms you're not using. Huddle in one room to conserve warmth. And sixth, if you have a fireplace, use it. But make sure your damper is open and your chimney is clear. The last thing you need is a house full of smoke, or worse, a chimney fire. Now, let's address something that people don't often think about: mental health in winter weather. When you're cooped up inside, when it's dark early, when it's cold and gray, it affects you. Seasonal affective disorder is real. Cabin fever is real. So here's what you do. 1. Try to get outside for at least a few minutes every day, even if it's just to walk to the mailbox. Fresh air and natural light, even on a cloudy day, help. 2. Maintain a routine. Go to bed at the same time, get up at the same time, eat meals at regular hours. 3. Stay connected. Call friends, video chat with family, text someone you haven't talked to in a while. Social connection matters. 4. Find indoor activities you enjoy. Read that book you've been putting off, start that puzzle, watch that series, learn that recipe. And 5. Give yourself grace. If you're feeling a bit down, a bit stir-crazy, that's normal. It doesn't mean something's wrong with you. It means you're human. All right, we're in the home stretch here. Let me summarize the key points one more time because in emergency weather situations, repetition saves lives. Point 1. Multiple winter storms are affecting the eastern United States over the next 7 to 10 days. Some will be minor, some will be significant. Point 2. Arctic air is moving in this weekend with dangerous cold. Wind chills below zero are likely across much of the Midwest and Northeast. Point 3. Travel will be impacted. Flights will be delayed, roads will be hazardous, plan accordingly. Point 4. There's potential for a pattern shift mid to late December that could bring even more active weather. Point 5. Preparation is key. Food, water, heat, emergency supplies, winterize everything now. Point 6. Stay informed. These patterns evolve quickly. What we think will happen today might change tomorrow. Point 7. Check on others. Community matters. We're all in this together. And point 8. This winter appears to be more active than recent years. Don't let your guard down after this week. Stay prepared through the end of winter. Now, before we end, I promised you a teaser for what's coming. Because this forecast, this active week, it's just the beginning of the story. In the next update, I'm going to reveal the long-range pattern shifts we're tracking for January and February. The models are hinting at something big, potentially a major pattern change that could affect winter weather across the entire country. I'm also going to show you a historical analysis. The last 5 times we've seen December patterns like this, what happened? The results might surprise you. And I'm going to give you a day-by-day, city-by-city breakdown for the Christmas week forecast. Will it be a white Christmas? What are the real odds? Plus, I'll be tracking that potential late December storm I mentioned. If it develops, it could be the storm of the winter, multiple feet of snow possible in some areas. But the track, the timing, the intensity, it's all still up in the air, and I'll be following it step by step. That's all coming in the next update, and you won't want to miss it. Because in weather like this, knowledge is power, preparation is protection, and staying informed could literally save your life or the life of someone you love. So here's what you do right now. Make your preparations today. Stock up on supplies, winterize your home and vehicle, check on your neighbors, have a plan for power outages, and stay flexible with your travel plans. Then, check back for updates. The weather pattern is evolving. What we know today will be refined tomorrow. New information will come in, models will adjust, and you need to adjust with them. This is the kind of weather pattern that demands attention, not panic, not fear, but respect and preparation. Mother Nature is in charge, and she's making it very clear that winter has arrived. For everyone watching from Virginia and North Carolina right now, the snow is falling as I'm recording this. Stay safe, stay off the roads if you can, let the crews do their work, and if you do have to go out, drive like your life depends on it. Because it does. For the Midwest and Great Lakes, your turn is coming. Wednesday and beyond, you're going to see storm after storm. You know the drill. You've done this before. But don't let familiarity breed complacency. Every storm is different. Every condition is unique. And for the Northeast, you're watching 2 storylines. The lake effect machine is about to fire up big time. Buffalo, Syracuse, you're going to measure your snow in feet, not inches. And then that potential coastal storm. If it develops, if it tracks right, you could be looking at the first major nor'easter of the season. One final thought before we go. Weather like this, it reminds us of something important. We're not as in control as we like to think. We can't change the weather. We can't stop the storms. We can't make it warmer or less snowy. But what we can do is prepare. We can plan. We can help each other. We can respect the power of nature while not fearing it. And we can choose to see the beauty in it. Yes, winter weather is challenging. But it's also beautiful. It's also a reminder of the changing seasons, of the cycle of life. So as you prepare, as you stock up, as you winterize and plan, take a moment. Look out your window when it's snowing. Really look. Watch the flakes fall. Notice how they blanket everything, how they transform the landscape, how peaceful it can be. Because winter weather isn't just something to survive, it's something to experience. And if you're prepared, if you're safe, if you're ready, you can actually enjoy it. Stay safe out there. Stay warm. Stay prepared. And remember, this too shall pass. Spring will come. The snow will melt. The temperatures will warm. But until then, winter is here, and it's bringing everything it's got. Keep watching for updates. Keep checking reliable weather sources. Keep your emergency supplies ready. And keep looking out for each other. That's how we get through patterns like this. Together, prepared, informed. The next 7 to 10 days are going to test us, but we'll get through it. We always do. And when it's over, we'll have stories to tell. About the winter of 2024-2025. About the week in early December when winter showed up with a vengeance. So bundle up, stay safe, and let's ride this out together. Because that's what we do, that's who we are, and that's how we handle whatever Mother Nature throws our way.